Attention, you're listening to The Todd Huff Show, America's home for conservative, not bitter talk and education. Be advised, the content of this program has been documented to prevent and even cure liberalism, and listening may cause you to lean to the right. And now, coming to you from the Full Suite Wealth Studios, here's your conservative but not bitter host, Todd Huff.
Well, my friends, tomorrow is America's 250th birthday. I don't know if you've seen some of these surveys. I don't know if you've seen what's this on CNN here. How proud you are to be an American. The amount of difference between the way Republicans answer that question and Democrats answer that question is immense, is enormous, and I want to talk about this today. There's other things I want to get to in the news today as well. But my friends, tomorrow, it's hard to believe. There was a time where I was not sure America was going to make it to birthday 250 when the Democrats were running things and pushing anti-American sentiments and anti-American ideas down the throats of the American people. We have appeared to make it, my friends. Though we have a few hours left to get there, I think that we will. So happy birthday to America here. That's what I want to talk about on today's program, my friends. Now, it's a patriotic time of year. Why not support a patriotic company? One of those patriotic companies is undoubtedly MyPillow, founded by Mike Lindell, who is an American patriot. Mike Lindell is now running for governor in the state of Minnesota, and his company is based in Minnesota. It makes products right here in America, great products, many products that we have here in the Huff household, including their pillows, their sheets, their towels, their dog beds, their slippers. They have a whole bunch of things at MyPillow, things you may not even know that they offer there. So you can check it out, mypillow.com. Use promo code Todd. You're going to get savings on just about, probably every product there. I like to say just about every product in case something doesn't get you a discount, but I think you'll get a discount on everything there, mypillow.com. Promo code Todd will get you those savings, my friends. All right. Let's talk about this. We have CNN. This guy's name is Harry Enten, I believe. He'll talk about polling from time to time. And he's got a poll up here on the screen. It's a Gallup poll. A Gallup poll. And it says this: how proud to be American? So that's the question. Now I want to frame this properly, especially coming at this from a Christian perspective. In fact, if you listen to this program often enough, you might hear me talk about the great sin of pride. The great sin of pride is an anti-God state of mind. That's not what we're talking about here. Pride is true pride in the biblical sense is when I or an individual establishes himself, herself in a position that says, effectively, I make the rules here, God. I'm the one who I'm greater than you. That's the great sin of pride biblically. And if we're all being honest, we've all done it. This is a part of the equation to being sinful human beings. We have established ourselves as enemies against God, questioning his goodness, thinking that we are somehow better. If you go back and you look at some of these sins that have been committed in the Bible and so forth, you'll see some of this. You'll see, for example, during the Tower of Babel, they wanted to ascend to the heavens so that they could effectively be as good as or greater than God. When Adam and Eve ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, what did Satan tell them? The serpent said, look, God doesn't want you to be like him. And so that's pride in the strict biblical sense. This is just, when people talk about being proud to be an American, which I am proud to be an American, Proud to be an American is a person who is not, first of all, is not ashamed of what this nation is. This nation, as I've said many times this week, as I've said many times over the course of the nearly 11 years of doing this program. By the way, in about a month, we will be celebrating our 11th birthday here on the Todd Huff Show. August 10th, in fact, will be our 11th birthday of the program. But tomorrow is America's 250th birthday. And I'm not ashamed of America. America is a shining city on a hill. The world is much better for the existence of the United States of America. If there were not a United States of America, the world would be a much darker place. This place is something to be thankful for, to be grateful for, to be pleased with, to point to and say, look, I'm not the person that made all this happen, but I'm very pleased and honored to have been a part of this great American experiment. Grateful for the liberties and freedom. I am just candidly beyond that. I'm in awe of the opportunities that I have for being American. I hope that you have that as well. I hope that this sense of just gratitude and honor to be part of this country is within you, a patriotic feeling. Yes, my friends, but that is not, I know, I just wanted to distinguish because it's not pride in the biblical sense. It's just, hey, I am pleased. I am honored. I like to be able to tell people that I'm a part of this. We have something good here. This has changed the face of the planet. You can find, capitalism has lifted, boy, you want to upset the left, say this. Capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any socialist program ever could dream of. I mean, we have been a part of this. We should be proud, not in a sense of thinking that we're superior, but just, hey, this is something good. I'm glad that I'm a part of this. I'm honored to be a part of this. And so they've asked this question of Americans, how proud are you to be American? Now I'll pause there. My pride, so to speak, to be an American does not change, depending upon who is in the White House, who has control of Congress. Now, personally, I get very, very concerned when these radical leftists get political power, when they get control of the executive branch, when they have more justices than we have on the Supreme Court, because they'll straight up make up their beliefs from the bench. Who cares what the law says? Who cares what the Constitution says? These folks have nothing in common on the Supreme Court with Clarence Thomas, nothing in common with Samuel Alito, nothing in common with Neil Gorsuch, the people who actually interpret and defend the Constitution and statutory law here federally in our U.S. Supreme Court. When the Democrats have control of the executive branch, they act as though Trump is the one who is the problem. And it's amazing to me. You look back at some of the things that have happened under the control, when the executive branch was under the control of Democrats. So who do you think was leading the executive branch when this massive growth of the administrative state, the bureaucracy, took place? And that, by the way, is the growth of the executive branch. Who do you think was leading the charge? It wasn't some conservative, limited government type of individual. These are individuals who believe that government is the solution to all of your problems, and nothing could be further from the truth. But even when those things were happening, even when my government was growing, even when Roe v. Wade was effectively, quote unquote, the law of the land, the legal, so to speak, murder of unborn children up until the certain point of certain trimester, certain point of viability, even when those things were happening across the country, I did not cease to be proud. I did not stop being proud to be an American. That is foreign to me. This is a phenomenon that happens with people who believe in what is called virtue signaling. Virtue signaling is a major problem, and it lives on the left, my friends. Virtue signaling is when you want someone else to think, man, that guy is so virtuous. That guy has it all together. That guy is so in tune with what is right and wrong that when some bad person becomes president of the United States, is elected to federal office, when some law is enacted that he doesn't agree with, she doesn't agree with, that they want to throw basically a temper tantrum about, they can do that, and that shows me how virtuous they are, how superior they are, morally speaking, to the rest of society. That's what happens when Republicans are in control. The left, the radical left, this isn't all Democrats. This isn't even all people on the left. This isn't all liberals, but it's certainly some of them. And they think that they are virtuous, and they want to show you. They want to put a performance on to demonstrate, to illustrate, to showcase their morality, their virtue. I'm so bothered, they'll say, by President Trump being in the White House that I can't even function. I've got to scream at the universe. Do you remember that? When they screamed at the universe, President Trump's president. And that was a virtuous thing. That gets you in the economy of leftism here. That gets you some sort of unspoken value in the community. You can't really quantify it, but if you can show that community just how upset you are at things with which go against your political ideology, if you can scream enough about it, cry enough about it, bemoan it long enough, if you can miss work. Do you remember back when Trump beat Hillary? I remember. I've had people tell me they had college roommates who cried and stayed in the dorm for multiple days to avoid having to go to class. Classes were canceled. Do you remember this? Classes were canceled. Now, to an adult, to a person like the vast majority of you listening to me today on the radio or on the podcast or wherever, the vast majority of you today would say that is a childish way to behave. That is not something that we take seriously, right? That's crazy talk. But to people on the left, that shows them how virtuous you are. If you have to go protest, if you can't get up in the morning and go to work or take a quiz or whatever in college, then that shows just how bothered you are. The more bothered you are, the more virtuous you are. That's how it works on the radical left. And so when they call you on the phone or however they do these surveys today, you get an online questionnaire or whatever, something texted to you from Gallup, and it says, how proud are you to be an American? That factors into this. And when Democrats answer this, I'm gonna play this. This is a video. This is something from CNN. So I can't show you because this program is primarily audio. But you can listen to what he says. He's going to talk about the Gallup results, and you're going to hear him say the breakdown here, Republican versus Democrat, answering how much they either identify as extremely or very proud to be American, or how little, how they answer that they're little or not proud at all to be an American. So that being said, here is a clip from CNN, Harry Enten here, talking about these survey results, specifically how proud Republicans and Democrats are to be American. Here you go.
Republicans, 93% are extremely or very proud. Just a single one, say they have little to no pride in being an American. But look over at the Democratic side. This is where we've seen this extremely or very number. It's been taking a tumble at 27%, which is way different than the 93. You do the quick math with me here. What is that? That's a 66-point difference here in terms of extremely or very. But look at this. The little or no proud to be an American actually among Democrats eclipses is greater than the extremely or very proud number. So we are just living in such a different universe if you're a Republican versus a Democrat on the basic fundamental question of being proud to be an American.
So there you go. So the number is 36%. He didn't say it there. I thought he did. So let me read this to you. Republicans who say that they're extremely or very proud to be American, 93%. Virtually every Republican, right? 93%. There's some outliers, but it's very fair to say that that's effectively, generally speaking, everybody. On the Democrat side, the percentage of people who say they are extremely or very proud to be American, 27%. 1 out of every 4. If you get a room full of Democrats and break them off into 4s, I'm estimating here. I got to be careful here. I'm talking to leftists. Leftists will take things literally, but not seriously, and they will take things. They won't take it seriously and miss the point that just because it isn't literal doesn't mean that there's not a serious point there. But nonetheless, if you get a room of Democrats together, you break them off into groups of 4. Roughly speaking, only 1 in every group of 4 is going to say that he or she is proud to be an American in a room of Democrats. If you break those people into groups of 3 in the room of Democrats, basically 1 out of every 3 of them is going to say that they're not proud, or they're proud just a little tiny bit, or they're not proud at all. And Republicans only answered 1%. 1 out of 100. Think about this. You get 100 Republicans in a room, and you say to that group of 100 Republicans, who here has little to no pride in being an American? And one person will raise his hand out of 100. And that's 30. There's 36 times as many Democrats. If you had that same 100 people, you would have 36 the same number, different people. But if you had the same amount of people in the room, the same number of people, 36 out of 100 Democrats, roughly 1 out of every 3 would raise his or her hand, Z's hand or Zer's hand or whatever, and they would say, I'm proud to be an American. This is a fundamental problem. Why wouldn't you be proud to be American? What is it? There's a lot of reasons for this, my friends. They're not good reasons, but there's a lot of reasons that these godless radical leftists do not have pride in being American. We'll talk about that, my friends, just a little bit, but I've got to take a little pause here and remind you that there's a lot of confusion out there about kratom. You've probably heard the headlines. Most of those headlines are based on synthetic junk that isn't real kratom at all. Real kratom is tested, it's natural, it's handled with care. That's exactly what you get from Christopher's Organic Botanicals. They are a family-run company. They partner directly with farmers in Indonesia. Every batch is lab tested for purity and safety. No chemicals, no fillers, no shortcuts. This, my friends, is a trusted herbal option. It's been used for generations, and it is a real alternative for people looking for something that doesn't come with a warning label that is a mile long. You can start with their Kratom Starter Pack. Coupon code Todd Huff will get you 10% off your first order. Just head on over to Christopher'sOrganicBotanicals.com. That's Christopher'sOrganicBotanicals.com. Truth, tradition, transparency. And as I'm reading that, I should tell you too, and I'll mention this again. We'll get back to the issue at hand here in a moment. But I should tell you, we are relaunching the Inner Circle daily email that goes out, which includes a lot of things. It includes Todd's Take, which who can miss that? It includes what we call the Stack of Stuff. So the Stack of Stuff will have links to things that we discuss in this program. So if we reference an article, you can have it emailed to you each and every day so you can dig deeper. This is for people who want more behind the scenes about the show. They want the receipts, if you will. They want to be able to do the research. They want to be part of the conversation in the email community. It's absolutely free. It's called the Inner Circle. And there's other things, additional content that there will be in there as well. We've rebuilt it. We took a couple of month break here as we worked on reestablishing some things on social media and also revamping some processes to get a better, candidly, newsletter out to you. So if you want to join that, you can text the word join. You can get that delivered to your email every evening, late afternoon or evening. Text the word join to 317-785-1030. You can also, my friends, go to innercircle.toddhuffshow.com and you can just enter your email there and you'll be entered in to that distribution list and you will receive the Inner Circle each and every day, each and every weekday, I should say. We don't do it on the weekends, at least currently. Who knows? We might do something like that in the future as well. So if you want to do that, please be sure to take advantage of that. We're starting that. I thought today would be a great day, heading into July 4th weekend, America's 250th birthday. So there you have it. But let's get back to the issue at hand. Why is the left, why would they answer that question the way that they do? As I said a little bit ago, I didn't cease being proud of this country or proud to be an American when Biden was in the White House. He did embarrassing things. I don't ever take that personally. I know some people, they act like, oh my goodness, this guy's embarrassing us on the world stage. I mean, I suppose I understand where that's coming from, but I also assume that people around the world know that not everybody voted for this guy. And candidly, I don't lose any sleep about what people think about me anyway, especially people who aren't here in the middle of it all. So, but that's a thing to some people. They want to be viewed a certain way. You want to talk about real pride, that's part of it. They're so proud they want people to say, this guy is smart, you know, I gotta make sure I have this reputation. Listen, I'm more focused on being what is, right? It's less concerning to me that people see something that I am. Character, it's been said, is what you do in the dark when no one is looking. If I'm doing it just to be noticed, I'm doing it with the wrong motivations. A lot of these things, my friends, are between you, yourself, and God Almighty. Maybe your family, close friends. There's no need to put on a show and a spectacle, but that's part of this. The Democrats, the radical left anyway, put on a spectacle. Now, I will tell you that I've shared with you, I was raised in a Union Democrat family. My family, when I was growing up, was absolutely a family that would have said they were in the 27% of the Democrats who say that they're proud to be American. I mean, we loved this country. We flew a flag. My dad still has a flag flying in front of the house. But that's not common. That's not common amongst Democrats, and it's sad. And I want to talk a little bit more about it because there's some reasons for this. We've hit on some. There are others as well, but I've got to take a break, my friends. Quick timeout is needed here. You're listening to the home of conservative, not bitter talk. I am your host, the benevolent dictator here behind the microphone, Todd Huff. Back here in just a minute. Welcome back, my friends. Talking here about some of the quote-unquote reasons. I'm going to do it in air quotes as I bump the microphone here. The reasons that the Democrat Party or individual Democrats are not proud to be American. As I shared last segment, the numbers of Democrats, the percentages, teach us. What are the percentages again? Republicans, 93% of Republicans say they are extremely or very proud to be American. 27% of Democrats say they are extremely or very proud to be American. And then when you ask how many have little to no pride in being American, only 1% of Republicans say this, 36% of Democrats. That's perhaps the most shocking number of all. I suppose it's one thing to not be proud to be an American, but to say, well, to say that they're not extremely or very proud. I suppose that you could say, well, they're just, wearing their feelings on their sleeve. I don't know. But if they go as far to say that they have effectively no pride, very little or no pride in being American, they're effectively embarrassed to be an American, that says something different altogether. Let me take a moment. If you are a Democrat and you are in the 27% who say that they are extremely or very, very proud to be an American, let me say thank you for that. I know that you have some things politically that you agree with that I think is dangerous or bad ideas and so forth. But I want to say thank you for not being part of the real problem You're not. You might be a little bit part of the problem, but let me say this. You have more. You agree with me more than you agree with the radical leftists who hate this country, who blame America first, who are embarrassed of this place, who have little to no pride in this great nation that's transformed the face of this planet. That is a shining city on a hill. Of course, far from perfect. We've been through that. I talked about that yesterday. I'm not going to rehash that. This is a wonderful place. We are blessed beyond measure to be able to call ourselves Americans. And I'm sure you're celebrating this weekend. I'm sure the 27% of you are celebrating this weekend. Maybe you're not happy Trump's in the White House. Maybe you're not happy that Democrats are in control of the House of, that Republicans are in control of the House of Representatives and the Senate. Maybe you're not happy with the current makeup of the United States Supreme Court, but you still love your country. Listen, I've been on your side of the aisle. Well, not your side of the aisle, in your predicament. I've been there politically, right? You go back not that long ago, and there was certainly a time when Democrats ran Washington, D.C. They had the executive branch, they had Congress, both houses of Congress, the Senate and the House. You remember back when Obama was president, Democrats actually had, for a very short period of time, 60 votes. They had 60 Democrat senators. Remember Scott Brown from, Massachusetts, won a special election after Senator Kennedy, Ted Kennedy, passed away, and that broke the filibuster-proof majority in the U.S. Senate. Democrats had 60 U.S. senators. I lived through that. I didn't like it. I was worried every day about what these lunatics were going to pass, what they were going to do to my country, to my liberty, to the value of the dollar, what they were going to do internationally, who Obama was going to apologize next on the world stage too. I was concerned about these things. I survived it, but I never once, not for a single moment, that's back when Roe v. Wade was even the law of the land. I didn't cease to be proud to be American at that point in time. But 36, one out of every three, slightly more, 1 out of every 3 Democrats has little to no pride in being an American. But if you're in that group of 27% of Democrats who are proud to be American, what I'm about to say next doesn't involve you. You're not part of the larger problem. I invite you, listen, I'm not a Republican through and through. I'm a conservative. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in liberty and limited government. I believe in ideas. Ideas, in many cases, even the Republican Party hasn't defended or stood up for. But I welcome you to come to the Republican Party. I welcome you to it with open arms. You have more in common with me if you're in that 27% of the Democrat Party who is extremely or very proud to be American. You have more in common with me, with the listeners of this program, than you do with your own party. I welcome you to consider leaving it and coming over here and helping us to change the Republican Party for the better as well. As I've shared, I was raised in a Union Democrat home. I understand you. I don't understand the 36% of you who are not proud, of Democrats who are not proud to be American. They wouldn't be able to listen. They're not listening to this program. They couldn't bear this program for 5 seconds because I am a proud American. They are not proud. Why are they not proud? Well, first and foremost, we went through virtue signaling. This is a big thing. I'm just going to reiterate it and move on. This is a big thing for people on the left. They are so proud. They value their sense of self-worth, how important they are, how smart they are. Listen, to be a leftist, you have to think that you are smart enough not just to figure out your own problems, my friends. If you're a leftist, you have to be smart enough, you think you're smart enough to solve everyone else's problems. That's why you want to have the reins of government, because you're going to use government to accomplish your worldview, to fulfill your morally bankrupt worldview. And you believe that you're equipped to do that. That's how a leftist becomes a leftist. There's not a problem in their minds that government can't solve. And of course, half of what needs to be done in the mind of the godless radical left is to rewire the American psyche, the American way of thinking. what's good and bad, right and wrong. That's what they cease to do. This is where, again, the idea is that boys can be girls, girls can be boys, all that stuff comes from. This is also where the idea comes from, and it's not even an idea. It's just a political talking point. The anti-science idea that says an unborn child in the womb is not a human being. And so they've lost all sense of reality. They are very self-assured about things. They're wrong about everything, but yet they think that they're smart enough. They are arrogant enough to say that they can solve all of your problems, not even their problems. Friends, these are the people who believe that they can control the levels of the sea in 50 or 100 years. And as I've said on this program in the past, they can't even ensure that when they have a presidential debate and there are 6, 8, 10, however many candidates in the Democrat Party, they can't even ensure that their candidates all get equal amounts of talking time in the debate. But yet they can make sure, they can tell us that they can control the sea levels in 50 to 100 years, that they can ensure that every financial interaction in America around the world is somehow fair, objectively fair by whatever standards they've come up with, making sure that all men and women are paid equally for equal work, and somehow be able to decipher all of that and go through the job descriptions and all that kind of stuff. The priorities of both the employer and the employee, all those things. They tell us that they can get absolute fairness in every single transaction and that they are, in fact, the arbiters of achieving that fairness. This group of people is very, very self-assured, but when they're not in power, they're embarrassed. They're embarrassed of liberty, my friends. Liberty's messy. Liberty means that you have people in your country that are standing up and doing things that maybe you don't agree with. This doesn't bother me at all, but it bothers people on the left because it signals to the rest of the world that they're part of this. You know, I never thought I would say this, but I've watched a little bit of the World Cup. I may have to relinquish part of my man card, I'm not sure. But I've watched a little bit of the World Cup and watched the American match. I'm learning it's not a game, it's a match. They're never going to get me to call it football because I know what football is and that's not it. But I remember at the end of the game, all the crowd starts singing Country Roads, right? Country Roads, take me home, John Denver, to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, Country Roads. And there are people, I know, they might be singing that in the stadiums, but there are people, these leftist elitists, that are embarrassed by this. They don't want to be associated with this. That's West Virginia, of all places. Yes, it's a Democrat, it's a conservative state. They often elect Democrats like Joe Manchin and so forth. But it's embarrassing to them. And they don't want there to be liberty because liberty means, at least in part, they've got to explain to their elitist socialist friends across the pond that they don't associate with those sorts of Americans. But they're embarrassed, my friends, to be an American. 36% of Democrats said that they have little to no pride in being American. Maybe you've reached that stage, my friends, where managing your money feels like juggling more than just numbers. There's tax planning, estate work, investment choices, a whole lot more. That's when Family Office Services can really make a difference. Full Suite Wealth brings all those pieces together into one cohesive strategy. Their Family Office Services give you access to a coordinated team with advanced option strategies, private equity, private credit, and legal expertise. All those things, my friends, under one roof. It's about simplifying your financial life, planning for the future, making sure your legacy stays strong for generations. If you're ready for that next level of support, head on over to fullsuitewealth.com. That's fullsuitewealth.com. Build your legacy, my friends. Secure your future. Time out for me. Back in just a minute. Welcome back, my friends. Tomorrow again is America's 250th birthday. We've been talking about the Blame America First crowd. We've been talking about the virtue signaling crowd, the Trump-hating wing of the Democrat Party, which, of course, there's a lot. These are the people who are not proud to be American, my friends. But not you. Not those of you who listen in this audience. Not those of you who have stuck around for the third and final segment today. And I want to speak to you. as we celebrate America's 250th birthday, my friends, tomorrow. Conservatives, it is time to take stand with your wallet. That's why we created Freedom Marketplace. It's a free directory of businesses that share your values. They refuse to support leftist candidates, leftist causes. These businesses are not supporting the leftists and the movements that hate America, that are not proud to be American, that we've been talking about today. There's no logins that are required. You can make a login, but that's not the point of this. There's no gimmicks. This is just a simple way to connect your business, connect you with businesses that love this nation as much as you do. These are businesses that are celebrating America's 250th birthday as well. If you're tired of funding the woke agenda through the purchases you make at woke corporations, head on over to freedommarketplace.net. That's freedommarketplace.net. It's free, it's easy, and my friend, it's the patriotic thing to do. Liberty and business for all. So you love America. I love America. Again, we've gone through the reasons that these people on the left, 36% of the Democrat Party, has little or no pride in being American. We've talked about the virtue signaling. We talked about the arrogance, the embarrassment of being tied to hayseed hicks and that sort of thing. That's one of the things here, friends. Listen, I'm from flyover country. I'm from small town USA. I mean, I'm sure that they think that I'm a hayseed hick, and that is fine. It bothers me exactly 0%. I understand small town USA, rural America living. I understand the people who make this country possible. And it's you that have tuned in here at the final segment here as we wrap up the week, my friends. I love this country. I'm proud to be an American. I'm excited to celebrate her 250th birthday. We have it better. As I've said before, we have it better than 99% of the people who have ever walked the face of this planet. This is a wonderful place. It is a shining city on a hill. She is not perfect, but she is good, and we should celebrate her. And I, for one, my friends, am just overflowing with love for this country, with just appreciation and gratitude. You know, Zig Ziglar, the late, great Zig Ziglar, used to say that the healthiest of all human emotions is gratitude. And I think he's on to something, because gratitude is this overwhelming sense of appreciation that you didn't do anything to get. So there's no, look at me in it. There's no, it's just appreciating the blessings that have been given to you gracefully, given to me gracefully by God Almighty, my friends. And we have that here in this country. It is so foreign to me to hate your country just because you hate the president. It is so foreign to me to be embarrassed of other people so much that you don't want to associate with them. Who do these people think that they are? Right? Who do they think that they are? They're so, it's just so foreign to my world, to my way of thinking. Human beings are people. I don't care about classes. I don't care about these other things that come up that separate people. Certainly we're different. I like to meet people who are different from me, not different from me in key ways, like, that believe in the complete opposite. I mean, I'll talk to them and associate with them as human beings, but I like to meet people who are just genuinely different. One of the things, when I went to Washington, D.C. as a student, as a young man, I was a roommate with a kid. His name was Howell. He was from Compton. And Howell and I became friends. We stay in touch. We don't stay in touch a lot, but we communicate every once in a while. And I remember, Howell's from Compton. I went to his wedding, by the way, spent the night in Compton. It was my wife, but she was my girlfriend at the time. We attended Howell's wedding in California, but we spent the night in Compton. His family was so accommodating and just fantastic. He's Chicano. I learned about what that meant. I didn't understand what that was, but we were from different worlds. I remember when he came home with me over spring break. So it would have been in 1999. And he came to my little community And of course, there's farms here. There's things that he had never seen. I remember him commenting on the stars. He had never seen. Man, Todd, look at all the stars. And then we drove out into the country one night and he said, oh man, Todd, where are all the lights? And I said, well, there's one over there. There's one over there. And we were from different worlds, but we had so much in common about our beliefs. We both loved this country. He put on overalls, right? There's pictures of him putting in the hillbilly teeth, holding a pitchfork. I'm not even joking, my friend. This really, really happened. But it was all in good fun. He loved this country. He loves this country to this day. I love this country to this day. Most Americans do. I hope we fall on our knees and thank God for the blessings of being an American here in 2026. I am grateful. I am thankful for this country. Happy 250th birthday, USA. Folks, have a great 4th of July Independence Day weekend. I got to go, SDG.